Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I got my top 10 NXT superstars currently. Before I get into the video, what pretty much inspired me to do this video is I've been going back and watching a bunch of different NXT matches and rewatching takeovers and whatnot, and I've been absolutely enjoying it and loving it. But also, I recently have been watching NXT takeovers with one of my closest friends, and so just really I've been in the mood to just really watch NXT and recently and watching the PLEs that they put out and whatnot. I've always liked NXT. If you've not checked out Black and Gold brand of NXT, you definitely should. I plan on eventually making a top 10 NXT list in general and possibly just doing like not current NXT wrestlers, but people who had a run in NXT and maybe didn't go on to do as much on the main roster, or I fell in love with them on NXT and then loved them even more when they went to the main roster and whatnot. It's going to be a bunch of different stuff, but that's for a future video. Today, I just want to do the top 10 current NXT superstars. This is my opinion. And with the listing of these, there might be some controversy with that, but that's all right. So at my number 10 pick for the top 10 NXT superstars is Tony D'Angelo. I think he is someone who has a bright future within WWE. I'm enjoying his character. I wish I watched more of him, and I wish I was just overall like more into him, but I still like enjoy watching his matches. I think he put on a great match against Ilya Dragunov a few months ago. I want to say that was Stan and no, I don't think it was. I can't fully remember what event it was, but that's okay. Put on a great match, great tag team with the family. That whole faction is awesome. I think Tony D'Angelo, I could see him in the decent future being NXT champion, and I would not bat an eye to that. And I think that he really sets that pretty well. Like I think the way he carries himself, his promos, his in-ring ability, there's nothing really to complain about Tony D'Angelo. I can understand it might not be everybody's taste of the like stereotypical Italian character and like a mob boss-esque character, but me personally, I still very much like that, so I personally don't have a problem with it. At number 9, we have Joe Coffey, and if anyone has any complaints about that, I don't really care, because when I first saw Joe Coffey and I saw him wrestle, I was like, I don't like this guy. Even with the triple threat he had with Obafemi and Wes Lee, I think they did a great job throughout that match, and I think that Joe Coffey did great, even though I did not like him and I 100% did not expect him to win, and of course he did not. I still think that he did a great job, and weirdly, I've been getting more invested in his character, and I've been loving this like mini feud he's having with Joe Hendry. Um, and overall, I think that he just needs a little bit of tweaking. I like his in-ring ability. I love a good striker, and I love a good like technical wrestler. He's not necessarily fully technical, but it's more like heavy hitting. And I've been finding myself to enjoy his matches and stuff more and get more invested into them. But at number 8, we have Roxanne Perez. Now, I know she's the current NXT Women's Champion, and I know that might be low on people's lists, but I'm not fully into her. I don't know. She's not my favorite women's wrestler on the show. I don't think that there's anything wrong with liking her. I enjoy her still. She's on my top 10 list. I think she is so good in the ring. It's the story aspects of it where I've not fully gotten into it, but I would just need a little bit more time. Cuts a great promo, put on a banger match with Jordan Grace, who, by the way, I'm so excited to potentially see in the future in the WWE more regularly. Yes, please. I would love that. But Roxanne Perez is great, and I think she has an awesome finisher. She puts on just stellar match after stellar match. There's no complaints, honestly. Um, just there are a few things about her where I'm not as like invested into her as some other people on this list. And even with looking at this list now, I know I missed out on so many names, and my honorable mention list could be 100 long. But I think still, like, to be put on this list, you have to still be great. And even though I can critique it a little bit more because I'm going for my top 10 and I'm kind of justifying who is over who for what reason. There's still, like, Roxanne Perez is great. No complaints, honestly. At number 6 is Ethan Page. And I know some people might say something about me having the NXT champion and the women's champion on this list. But still, like, I did not watch Ethan Page in AEW. I've only kind of recently gotten back into AEW. I recently not rewatched, but I recently watched for the first time. It was Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay on Dynamite. That match was killer. That match was a banger. And so I'm slowly getting into more AEW, so there could be people who transition over to AEW from AEW to WWE or vice versa, where I'll see more of them. But still, Ethan Page, solid wrestler, amazing promos. I love his character. Just being like, acting like a good guy, but so egotistical that he's just a jackass. And I just love that. And I like, just, there's not much to complain about him, honestly. I could go on and on and on about Ethan Page. I've not seen a whole lot of him. That's why he's actually lower on my list than potentially he could be. But I think as I see more of him, I could potentially see him rise up this list, and I would not be shocked at all. Now, this next one at number 5. We are halfway through the list. This might be an unpopular opinion, but Charlie Dempsey. I think that he is so, like, I've always loved William Regal, and to have his son be in NXT and be a good wrestler and put on solid promos, and his look too is amazing. He has that, like, resting resting angry face. And it's kind of a similar thing that his dad had, and I love that. I'm so excited to see more of him. I want to see him get more opportunities and progress further. I would love for him to hold, like, the North American Championship. We've already seen him with many things like the Heritage Cup. We saw him win that and whatnot, but I think he has such a bright future ahead of him in WWE. Now, at number 4, we have Sol Ruka. Now, this might not surprise anybody at all. Sol Ruka is absolutely awesome, and she is personally my favorite female wrestler on the NXT roster. She put on an amazing moments and spots in the women's North American ladder match, and I personally predicted her to win, and I wish she did win, even though I am perfectly fine with who did. Sol Ruka is just so awesome. I think that if she stays healthy, future is so bright. That's what's so awesome about so many of these wrestlers who are in NXT. They're so young and have such a bright future, and it's so interesting to see where they progress and see what happens next. But I think Sol Ruka, her limit is to the moon. She is so good, and she'll just get better and better and better with each year. I'm excited to see what she'll eventually do on the main roster. You can already start pitching plans for yourself, and that's what I'm currently doing, because I do that all the time when it comes to any wrestler, pretty much. But Sol Ruka, definitely excited to see the future of her. Now, number 3 is Lexis King. I first moment I saw his vignettes, I was like, this is my guy. Like, I've always wanted to have a guy from like NXT who I can watch early into their kind of career in NXT and in the WWE, and I can root for them. And previously, that was unfortunately Cameron Grimes. I loved Cameron Grimes. Very unfortunate to see him get released. But from the moment I saw Lexus King, I was like, wow, this guy is special. Brian Pillman Jr. and the way that he pretty much knew, everyone kind of knew that he was probably going to have a name change, and to do Lexus King where you give him this awesome intro where he comes uh, down to the ring, but before he gets down at all, he's riding on a throne, just sliding it across. I think that looks so awesome, and you could tell that they have big plans for Lexus King. I personally still wish he won the breakout tournament. Just that's how much I was obsessed with Lexus King when I first saw him. I think that once again the future is so bright for Lexus King, and we've barely been reaching even remotely what I think his potential could be, and I'm so excited to see the future of that. He is who I'm going to probably root for the hardest from NXT currently for the future of their career, for sure. I think that he's great, deserves a lot, and I think he'll get it, honestly. Um, at number two, probably to nobody's surprise, it's Trick Williams. He is so over. He's so awesome. I think he's pretty good in ring. There's some people who have complaints about his matches, but I'm not really one of them. I didn't see his match he had with um, Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. I didn't see that one, so I don't know how that match was. But that Fatal 4-Way that he had with Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and Javon Evans, who all honestly could have potentially been on this list, but there were a few people who I don't think get enough credit who I really wanted to put on this list because I'm more invested into them than Javon Evans. Not that there's anything wrong with him or anybody that has not been on this list so far. But anyway, Trick Williams, I wasn't a huge fan of his finisher, but that's really grown on me. And to have that crowd participation while they're chanting "Woof that trick" as he's making his entrance, and when he did that on a SmackDown to save Carmelo Hayes a few months ago, even they were having that chanting along with it. So that just shows he's even more over. I think he looks great. I think he has, once again, a bright future in WWE. They've already shown his potential some, but I'm so excited to see him potentially chase after the NXT Championship again, or even potentially go to Raw or SmackDown in the future. Either way, I think it's pretty exciting, and I cannot wait. No matter how much I love Trick Williams, though, he is not number one. Number one is Obafemi. He is so awesome. I love a good, big, strong, dominant wrestler. That's why I love Gunther. That's why I loved Brock Lesnar before all these allegations and stuff came out about him and whatnot. He's powerful. He's awesome. I wasn't a fan of him beating Lexus King, but man, talk about showing up at NXT and just putting a rocket to the back of him. Putting on amazing match after amazing match. Whenever my friend comes over to watch NXT PLEs with me, he's always excited when I say that we're going to watch an Obafemi match because you just are so invested in him because he's this big monster. And you're like, oh my gosh, can finally someone topple him? And I think that's what's awesome about like wrestling is when you give this like powerful, strong heel who's dominant, like Gunther, you give him a long title reign, and then you have someone come along and beat him, and it rockets them forward. And that's what I can see them doing with Obafemi. Have him hold that North American Championship for a while. And I know we just not that long ago got out of a really long title reign that Wesley had. So I could see people potentially have a problem with that belt and that reign lasting so long, but I would not be one of them. I think that He has probably one of the brightest futures on this entire list, and I think all of them pretty much can do so much within the WWE landscape. But Obafemi, I could see them 100% the moment they call him up, push him to the moon. And honestly, if that happened, I would not be complaining because I'm very invested in to see what the future lies for Obafemi. Um, I think that even though there were a lot of NXT superstars who missed this list, that is no discredit to them. They are all, pretty much all of them, awesome. I think that there's so much potential, so much amazing future wrestling matches we're going to see. And if anyone was left off of this list and you are upset about that, I apologize. Just kidding, because it's my list, in my opinion. Um, so, it's okay to have different lists and different opinions on this. But that's pretty much it for today's video. I really wanted to make this video about NXT wrestlers, and I have a few different ideas where I might talk about my current top 10 Raw and SmackDown superstars as well. And those are going to be pretty interesting lists that might have a couple people upset. But anyway, that's for the future. We'll worry about that later. But that is for today's video. Thank you so much for watching it and sticking by for this long. If you have, drop a comment down below for any suggestions you would like me to review or just in general talk about if it's within the wrestling community. You guys have a great rest of your day.